Sure do. Let's stand and we're going to pray, and then afterwards we'll say the pledge. Heavenly Father, we just come before you today, and knowing that we need your guidance and everything. We think about all the things that are going on in the culture around us, and many times we don't want to be affected by that too much. And I pray that we can stay true to what is set before us and remind us of those things. We think about these commissioners tonight and these people that are here to support or be against something that's happening, and I pray it's all civil. And we pray for our first responders out there protecting us in the county, and we're grateful for all of them and how they're just called to do that. And we do this all in your Son's name, Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chaplain.
Appreciate that. Call the February 2nd, 2026 meeting of the Burleigh County Commission to order. First item is roll call of members.
Commissioner Schwab.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Here.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Commissioner Bakken.
Here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. Next is the approval of the agenda. Commissioners, I've had a request to add 2 items to the agenda. The first one would be under Commissioner Schwab for a motion to move forward with filling a position, the Agriculture and Natural Resources Extension Agent through NDSU. And then the other one is a late application for a permit for a raffle permit for United Tribes. I have that information in front of me, and you, I think you do as well.
Where are you putting them?
I'm going to put the permit application under the consent agenda and the NDSU extension under item 12 under Commissioner Schwab.
Would move to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next is consideration of the January 7th special meeting minutes and the January 20th, 2026 meeting minutes and bills.
Mr.
Commissioners.
Chair, I had a chance to review the bills prior to the meeting, and so I would move to approve both of the minutes and the bills.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve both of the minutes and the bills. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next, number 5 is public comment. This is restricted to Burleigh County residents and landowners. There are some time limits that apply, and we're going to restrict it to items that are not on the agenda for other discussion. If anybody wants to come forward for public comment, please approach the podium. Once again, this is public comment period. Anybody wish to speak? Third and final call. Anybody wish to speak under public comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment period. Next item, number 6, is consent agenda. There's abatement, special event permits, second approach permit, and the raffle permit. Commissioners?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion is second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next, number 7, Brenda Nagel, Chamber of Commerce update. Welcome, Brenda.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Great. Well, I will walk us through an update on what we've been up to at the Chamber EDC. And as always, if you have questions of anything that I bring up or you think that I forgot to share some news that you were looking forward to an update on, I'd be happy to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Chairman, Commissioners, again, thank you for allowing me to come in and visit with you a little bit this evening and share some information. So I wanted to talk a little bit, first of all, and when I say a little bit, gosh, I could talk for hours, but I promise I'm not going to do that. Thank you, Commissioner. I wouldn't do that to any of you. But I do want to give some highlights because I think they're very important. And I want to make sure that you are aware of a high level of what it is that we are doing to support Bismarck and Mandan, Burleigh and Morton County, but specifically what we're doing in Burleigh County, because everything that we do at the Chamber EDC definitely impacts you. We did a new strategic plan that was approved by our board in September of 2025. And so some of this may be relatively new to you, other parts of it may not be as new. But it's really focused on 4 quadrants, and those 4 quadrants are all centered around the people that we feel that we serve. Much like you serve the residents of Burleigh County, we serve the business community of Bismarck and Mandan, so the Bismarck-Mandan community. But let's talk a little bit about economic development, because I think that one is kind of high on everybody's priority list. If we bring business to town or we keep business in town, then we know that our tax base is certainly served much better, and because those businesses are paying taxes. Some of the things that we are doing, I've got up there project development. That's incredibly vague. Project development could mean a lot of things. There are projects who are reaching out to the Chamber EDC, and we're in the stage with them of, we're just trying to figure out, are they really interested in coming to Burleigh County? What do they need? Do they need rail service? Where do they want to be? What exactly are they trying to do? Some are value-added ag, which would be a very interesting, I think, project. Nonetheless, I can't really tell you what they are at this point because I have non-disclosure agreements signed with them, and until they're ready to actually move forward, I really can't share a whole lot of details. What I will tell you or will share with you is that we're not looking to do anything crazy. We're not looking to do something that is going to disrupt the current flow of things that we have for Burleigh County. We want to look for something that is going to be a good fit for the Burleigh County area. And so as soon as we are able to have a conversation, I would reach out, Chairman Bittner, to you, of course, to Commissioner Munson, as he has the Chamber EDC portfolio, or whoever it is that would need to be contacted. But we do have some projects that have some potential. On the other side of things is Job Shadow Week. Now, that takes a really different turn from projects. But we do a lot of things under economic development that impact our workforce, because if we don't have workforce, we can't really attract business to come to Bismarck, Mandan, Burleigh, or Morton County because we don't have the people to do the jobs. One of the things that we are doing at the Chamber EDC is the Job Shadow Week. At the end of February, we will send students out into the community, into nearly 200 spots within the community, that businesses have opened up their door and said, send the students from the high school, juniors and seniors, let them come into our place of business and allow them to check things out. I think there's a particular comment that one of the students made last year after Job Shadow Week that has just really stuck with me. And she said, well, I begrudgingly went to a job shadow at a bank. I don't really want to be a banker. That's not what I want to be, but I don't know what I want to do. So I went on this job shadow to a bank. And what I realized is there's other opportunities at a bank, because they have HR people and they have marketing and they have other things that are happening at the bank. And so that's what we're trying to do, is help these students in our community before they go off to go to college somewhere. We want them to see what is available, what great jobs are open and available here in our community, so that they can go figure out what that education looks like, not just a 4-year degree, but what does the skilled trades look like? How do we connect them to the business community so that they can see and learn what those opportunities are and make those, yes.
So Brenda, when the educational piece is really
Yeah.
intriguing to me. So, I always look at the Chamber EDC as a facilitator, bringing different political subdivisions together. How much input's going back the other direction when you have those job shadowing opportunities for Career Academy and the educational piece that I look at as a really good opportunity for the school system to critique what the students need to get ahead within the community and what some of the needs of the community. How much of that discussion goes back and forth? I'm guessing it's pretty
Thank you.
robust.
It's very robust. Thank you, Commissioner, for that question. It's a really great one. We have an incredible relationship, and we are the connector. And so we have a lot of conversations at the Career Academy level. We also have a lot of conversations at the BSC, UTTC, and UMary level. Because when the business community comes to us and says, this is what we need, you sent these students to us to kind of check things out, and I don't know if they're prepared. Could you check and see if we could potentially offer this? We know that the skilled trades really have been coming to us an awful lot. We have HVAC folks that are members who are saying, please help students understand and help places like BSC and UTTC understand we really need to prepare kids to do some of these skilled trades types of positions. And so we trade information back and forth on a very regular basis and help them stay informed. But thank you for that question.
Thank you.
So if you can put the slides back up. Thank you. So Job Shadow a Week, again, is just one of the things, but we're constantly connecting the workforce to the people that we have available in the community. The Bismarck-Mandan Business Pitch Challenge is an opportunity for us to connect with that entrepreneurial ecosystem. And so you all were entrepreneurs at one point in time, and you decided, many of you decided to go start a business. And what did that take other than a lot of gumption and a whole lot of work? But how do we help those entrepreneurs in our community understand how can we help them get kind of a move forward? And so the business pitch is something that we've borrowed from the city of Mandan, and now we will be doing it in the city of Bismarck through Vision Fund dollars. But it will ultimately, it could be a business that wants to be in Burleigh County. And so certainly we want to make sure that we're helping them. We'll align them with a business coach, somebody who can help them understand that what they've written out as their business plan, where does it need help, what do we need to do to improve it, and there'll be a competition, and we'll invite you to that competition so that you can see what those people are looking to do in order to earn the top prize. And that top prize would be in the form of a forgivable loan. And so we want to make sure that we continue to encourage those people to do that because, again, more business and business that's coming from people who are already here makes things work a little smoother. In the leadership development category, we've got student leadership. I've talked a lot about students, but we try to interact with students on all levels. Leadership Bismarck-Mandan. I know Chairman Bittner, you've been in attendance at that one for several years, and thank you very much on that. By sitting in on a panel to talk to the cohort from Leadership Bismarck-Mandan to say, this is what it would take to run for public office. Or here's how you connect with the people who are sitting around the table. There are a fair amount of people in our community who don't realize that they can attend a meeting. They don't realize that they can come and provide public comment in a very respectful manner, of course, but they don't know how to do that. And so we take people through Leadership Bismarck-Mandan to prepare hopefully, citizens for potentially running for public office, sitting on your boards, your commissions that you've got, and to just overall be a more well-rounded citizen in the community.
Well, and just one point of engagement, and I bring this up for the public and for you guys as well, that's a great way for somebody to get their foot in the door because we are always, whether it's the city or the county, looking for people to serve on a lot of those auxiliary boards. So if you can help promote that as well, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Commissioner, thank you. We always will, we are happy to promote those. In fact, we'll do a special social media post if we get the information from you. If we know what positions you need help filling on your boards, we're happy to get that out because we want them to be engaged.
Mark, maybe add that to the list when we're advertising for those positions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
And then, of course, the next one is preparing our community's leaders of tomorrow, and, which is what we've been talking about. We've been working on the public policy side on helping, giving input on finalizing land development code. That's more along the lines of city things, but I think anytime we can pull our membership together to give you input if you need it on the things that you're preparing in the frame of ordinances, we're here to help, and we want to bring the business community to you if you're looking for insight and input. And then, Commissioner, did you have a question?
I kind of have a problem with that land development code. It seems like we've got enough codes, enough people working on that. What specifically are you going to add that we're not doing now?
Sure, and that's a great question. Thank you, Commissioner Schwab. We're not necessarily creating the code, but there are times when city and county will come to us and say, do you know somebody within this particular line of business that could give us some insight because maybe they've run into problems with something or they've asked something to be increased? I'm not the expert in land development code, but again, we do more of the connecting of the particular businesses to that. Did that answer your question, sir?
No.
How can I
If you're
make
doing
it clear?
developing codes, that means you're doing land development codes and putting your input in is what I'm getting at. Actually, people are getting tired of all these codes. And now you're going to get involved in that or are involved in that. And I'm just wondering, how is that going to move things ahead? Are the codes for businesses or are they for?
It's for
When was the last time the county asked you for help in that?
The county hasn't come forward and asked. Now, when Commissioner Munson was working on some things with planning ordinances regarding data centers and things, we pulled some people together that had insight and information. These land development code committees are more on the city side.
See, and that gets to the point. You hit the spot there. If they're talking about data centers, where I have a problem is do you guys want data centers?
We only want them,
When the
Commissioner,
people don't.
if they're good for us as a community.
Well, they're all good according to the data guys.
Well, yeah.
So you would be, through this code deal, could be promoting somebody coming in or putting a data center just east of town, which is being proposed, by the way.
And that one is not working through us, so I don't know what to tell you about that particular data center. I'm aware of it, but they aren't working through us.
My thing is you can pick and choose and promote what you want. You can't. I'm not comfortable with it, but
Sure.
we can move on.
Point taken. Thank you, Commissioner. And then candidate preparation, we've certainly done a lot of work in that area where if someone comes to us and says, I'm looking to run for some sort of office, if they are looking to run for county commission, there again, we would want to connect them to you around the table to say, here's the commissioners. We have a relationship with the commissioners through our partnership. Would you like us to help you set up some time with one of the commissioners or two of them or five of them to be able to say, what is it like to run? What should I be prepared for? What do I need to know about being a county commissioner? And so that's how we help to prepare them. And then we are activating our military affairs committee. In that policy, public policy area, we took a break for a little while from the Military Affairs Committee. That is not to be construed as we did not think it was important. It's always been important. But we want to make sure that when we do re-implement the Military Affairs Committee that we're doing something worthwhile. And we do have an opportunity to make connections at the state level that can impact us at the local level. When someone is retiring from National Guard, from Army, from no matter what level of service they are, and they retire in Bismarck and Mandan, we want them, they actually, most times, they've got several years left of work in them. They're just retiring from military service. And so what we want to do is try to, through a military affairs committee, help make connections to those job opportunities that are available, because they've got amazing skills and could be utilized. And then, of course, our community engagement things that we do, we have 25-plus events that our membership can attend. It's where a lot of businesses come together and they try to understand what each other is doing. That's how people decide to maybe purchase their goods and services because they've met somebody at a Chamber EDC event. We do have State of the Cities tomorrow. It is a full event. We have nearly 600 people attending tomorrow, where we will hear from a national economist that'll talk to us about the economy. I think a lot of us know what the economy is doing, but it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say, and he'll help us break it down into state level and then a local level. And then, of course, we'll hear from both the mayors from Mandan and Bismarck. And then our workforce recruitment toolkit. We've spent a significant amount of time in this past year working through some things on workforce. We received an RWIP grant, which means we got some money from the state that we applied for. And then we used that money to create some recruitment videos. I'm going to show you one of those videos. We then took some additional funds that we had and invested significantly in sharing those videos outside of the state of North Dakota in like communities in which we live. Because we don't want to send these videos to someplace in California. We want to send it to someplace where they would probably be a good fit as a business or as people that want to move to our community, to fill workforce gaps, to bring new business to Bismarck-Mandan. Economy at a glance, there's an awful lot of stuff here. I think these are all snippets of things that I think you're very well aware of. I would just call out on the airport side, I think you're very well aware of that there will be like an airport expansion project that'll be coming likely in 2027. But boardings are up. The airport is incredibly busy. And what is that a good sign of? That's a good sign that there's a lot of business going on. Yes, there are people who are leaving to go on warm vacations at this time of the year, but there is a large amount of business traffic that is coming in and out of that Bismarck airport. And we've got to make sure that we've got an airport that can handle it. And so if we can go ahead and move forward with airport expansion, that certainly is best for all of us. I think something that is important, I think, for all of you in Burleigh County, because we do have agriculture in Burleigh County. It's not a surprise, but we are the number one in production in 10 ag commodities in the state. And again, the Burleigh County plays a huge part of that. And so I like to call that one out. I have a personal preference for agriculture in our community. They have a huge impact on the economy in where we live. And so I wanted to play this video for you. And before I do that, I just want to let you know that as business owners, as people who work in the business community, Burleigh County has an HR office. If you are looking to utilize some of these videos, they're yours to use. They do us absolutely no good to sit on a shelf at the Chamber EDC and not get used. And so if you would like to utilize them in your recruitment efforts, if there's somebody listening on Dakota Media Access that says, I have a business and I would like to utilize some of these videos in my recruitment, just reach out to us at the Chamber EDC and we are more than happy to share them with you, because again, it does us no good to keep them to ourselves. So I'm going to play this quick video. You don't need popcorn or anything for it because it's not that long. No. Sorry. Well, maybe we're not going to play the video because it's not working. I'm not going to take any more of your time and try to play around with this and play a technology genius. I promise you there is a video there, and I can send it to you. More importantly, I can send you the library to your HR staff, and you can certainly utilize those videos, but I'd entertain any questions.
Commissioners, any questions for Brenda?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Munson.
Brenda, more of a comment than a question. I have always appreciated working with the chamber, and especially the last couple of years with you being at the helm. I believe you guys are doing the right work and to make sure our community is growing and growing at the right way. So I appreciate your help.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep.
Another great opportunity for community outreach with the Veterans Affairs.
Yes.
With the committee that's getting started.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, good point.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I can tell you another thing, commissioners, if you ever get the opportunity to attend any of those leadership Bismarck Mandan kind of meetings and sit in with these young leaders and whatnot, it's phenomenal. They're happy to be there. They want to learn. They want to. That's been a really good experience.
Yeah.
And
So I thank you for that.
Commissioner, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come up and visit with them. It's important for them to be able to have those interactions with you.
All right. Any other questions for Brenda? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming by.
Is that made in China?
Okay, we're going to move forward into the off-highway vehicle discussion agenda item. That's on page 27 through 68 in your handout. Information was provided to me. I think, Doug, you're probably going to want to get up, and there may be other people that want to speak on this. You can probably just kind of take us through where you're at. Welcome, and give your name for the record, please.
Absolutely. Does this overhead work?
Yes, it did. I think the control room will turn it on when you...
Yeah, I might need some help there. Okay, I'll sign in here. You got a pen anywhere? There's one. Chair Bittner, Burleigh County Commission. My name is Doug Pearson, and I live in Hay Creek Township, northeast of Bismarck, within the ETA. I'm here to share with you the ongoing problems we are having with the OHVs within the ETA areas around Bismarck, which include Hay Creek, Gibbs, and Apple Creek Townships. This does not concern the rural areas of Burleigh. So what I would like to do is share with you what has been done in the past and where we are today presently. September 15, 2021, a group of concerned residents addressed the County Commission on multiple occasions asking for help. The Commission determined the county needed a Home Rule Charter Ordinance authority to address the problem. November 9, 2022, Home Rule Charter Ordinance provision placed on the ballot and passed. So I'd like to just take some time to talk a little bit about the Home Rule Charter. We got Section 3, exhibition driving, which means driving a vehicle in a manner which disturbs the peace by creating or causing unnecessary engine noise, tire squeal, skid, or slide upon acceleration, or braking or driving or executing or attempting one or a series of unnecessary abrupt turns or jumping ditches. Section 4, no person may engage in exhibition driving of any vehicle in the roadway. And, we have talked to the sheriffs numerous times. The deputies service these calls. And what we're told by the sheriff's department, that we have to catch them jumping ditches or approaches. We can't take anybody's word for it. We got evidence. We give a description of vehicles, but we have to catch them in person doing it. Well, that's never going to happen because these kids are smart. They see that sheriff's car. they're going to be on their best behavior. And I've had some opportunities to look at some OHV meetings in the past. One in particular, August 2023, I watched one and I was a little disappointed in the OHV language. It covers some good things, but some of the things that were left out of there is the nuisance language and public nuisance language, which is found in North Dakota Century Code 42. Also, we got a unique situation kind of where we're at out in Golden Hills and Crescent Ridge subdivisions. Of course, we have major OHV damage on 84th Avenue and 41st Street, but right within our subdivision, we still have gravel roads, okay? We're one of very few up in that area. All around us, we have subdivisions that have blacktop. So we have no right-of-way damage within our subdivisions. What we have is gravel road damage. We got kids coming from everywhere, north, east, south, west. They're coming into those areas, and our area is being treated as a racetrack. We've had kids come by my place at 40, 50 miles an hour, fishtailing back and forth, and all you can see is the dust. You can't even see the OHV. Kids popping wheelies. Kids cutting cookies, skidding, accelerating, burnouts. We have all that stuff going on, and nothing's being done about it. We have a description of these kids, but once again, the Sheriff's Department policy is we got to catch them in the act, jump in ditches or approaches. It's not going to happen. North Dakota Century Code concerning OHVs, jumping ditches, what I can see is found nowhere in the language. Excuse me, I should have my glasses on here. What is found is North Dakota Century Code 3929-92B. An OHV is brought to a complete stop before crossing the shoulder or main travelway of a highway. Also in Part 5, A and B, an individual may not operate an OHV in the following ways, which are declared to be unsafe and a public nuisance. What I was talking about a little while ago. We're going to come back to public nuisance. At a rate of speed greater than reasonable or proper under all surrounding circumstances, in a careless, reckless, or negligent manner, so as to endanger a person or property of another, or to cause injury or damage to another person or that property of another person. Excuse me, I need a drink of water. I got a really bad cold. Give me 1 second. These pictures here are right around 41st Street. We're up to the north and kind of the northeast. That's where we live at. I know where I'm at here. If we go to North Dakota Century Code 42-01-01, the definition of a nuisance is one that annoys, injures, or endangers the comfort, repose. The definition of that is sleep or rest, health, or the safety of others. And I want to stop right there. I got some more information here I just want to share with you. You might look at this and say, well, he's against engine brakes. I'm not against engine brakes. I'm going to use this as an example. And this is right up in our ETA area, Burleigh County Ordinance 2024-01. I talked to a gentleman at the office, and I asked, is there an official noise ordinance in Burleigh County? He said, no, we do not have an official noise ordinance. What we do have, we have an ordinance against jake brakes, which is fine and dandy, or engine brakes. So I did a little more research on this, and about a year before these were put up, these were the signs that were up before the current signs we have right there. For the simple reason is they were enforced under the nuisance laws, which is section 42 of the North Dakota Century Code. At that time, you didn't have an ordinance. We needed protection out there against the jake breaks. So there is protection under North Dakota Century Code right there. So I had an opportunity to talk to a gentleman at the highway department, and I was curious. I wanted to know, how do you gauge this right here? I know it's noise, but he says they use a decibel meter apparently. So I did some more research for myself, and I found out that anything over an 85 decibel is harmful to a human. And the OHV decibel ranges are from 85 to 110. Okay, from a nuisance standpoint, OHVs generate more complaints overall. Complaints often cite loss of peace and quiet, inability to enjoy outdoor spaces, and sleep disruption. If we go down to the verdict right there, engine brakes, peak decibels, very high, duration, short, repetition, low, time of use, predictable, noise nuisance is moderate to high. Now you'd go over to OHVs. Peak decibels, very high. Duration, long. Repetition, high. Time of use is recreational, off hours. Noise nuisance is high to very high. Conclusion, OHVs are generally a greater noise nuisance than engine brakes, even when the decibel levels are similar or lower. And I'm just bringing out that point right there, so you guys had that for your information. There's some more information if you want to look at it. I also want to go back to North Dakota Century Code 42-01-6. The definition of a public nuisance is one at the same time affects an entire community or neighborhood or any considerable number of persons, although the extent of the annoyance or damage inflicted upon the individuals may be unequal. So, like I said, that's just information we can take a look at right there. I'll move on in the timeline. April 22nd, 2023, Gibbs Township posted on their website, off-road vehicle riders in the right-of-way. December 18th, 2023, Burleigh County implements OHV ordinance based on existing Century Code at that time. The county could only adopt rules to regulate use. The county could not restrict or prohibit use. Excuse me, commissioners. Okay, moving on in timeline. January 7th, 2025, Representatives Heilman and Clemene, both from the North Bismarck districts, introduced House Bill 1346 to amend North Dakota Century Code 3929-8 to grant the counties equal authority as cities to restrict and prohibit the use of OHVs. March 26, 2025, House Bill 1346 overwhelmingly passes 83-6 in the House, 93%, and also 44-0 in the Senate, 100% support. And afterwards, we gave our testimony. We had legislators that came up and thanked us for testifying on this bill, saying this bill was long overdue. In fact, there's other cities, there's other counties in the state that are also having OHB problems in their ETA. August 1st, 2025, House Bill 1346 goes into effect, granting counties the authority to restrict and prohibit the use of OHVs within the county. December 29, 2025, Hay Creek Township posted on their website, reckless OHV use causing serious problems. And then on January 8, 2026, I received a report from Central Dakota Communications, and I asked for this report. And they had in their records 107 OHV calls in Hay Creek Township alone. I also worked with gentlemen from Gibbs Township and also Apple Creek. And their records came 2024, there was 6 calls. Gibbs Township in 2025, there were 15 calls. Apple Creek Township, 6 calls in 2024 and 12 calls in 2025. And then Hay Creek Township, 58 calls in 2024 and 107 calls in 2025. You might ask, well, what's the reason right that? You know, why is Hay Creek Township so much higher than Gibbs and Apple Creek? Because they're very similar. I got an opinion on that. In the northeast side of town, the Sattler subdivision, Silver Ranch subdivisions, they're within city limits. Those kids cannot ride within the city limits. So they're coming straight out north into Hay Creek Township, and we have to put up with that stuff. If you take a look on Centennial, when you go north, you got that Exxon gas station right there on the east side. Take a look in that east ditch and look at those ruts. That is within city limits right there. That's 1/8 of a mile from Saratoga Avenue all the way up to 43rd Avenue, and they're allowed to ride in there. My question would be, Bismarck has an OHV ordinance. Where's the city police? How come they're not enforcing that? What I see, and this is my opinion, there's rules on the books. We got everything put in place, but we need enforcement to take care of this problem. So with that, I'll finish up here, Commissioners. January 12, 2026, concerned residents requested a meeting with Burleigh County Commission to determine a permanent solution utilizing the new authority granted to the County Commission from House Bill 1346. And with that, I will stand for any questions you might have.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions for Doug? Any questions? Commissioner Woodcox?
When you say you get calls of like 107 calls, what is that? Is there that 107 times that the Burleigh County Sheriff has been called to look into something?
Yeah, those are dispatch calls that come from CENTCOM.
Okay.
So when they receive that, Burleigh County Sheriff has got to go out and service those calls.
And how many arrests have we had?
That's a good question right there. That's a very good question. And I think that's
The problem.
a question I put out. You know, I've asked for some information from the Sheriff's Department. I've also asked information from the State's Attorney. If I were a betting man, Commissioner Woodcox, I would say 0.
I know when we did this ordinance a year ago, whatever it was, you had the right date, we thought we had the problem solved, but the problem is enforcement, just like you concluded with. The problem is enforcement, so
Yes.
how do we enforce it? We'd like to get this done too, but we can't prohibit them from riding in the ditches, as far as I know. What do you suggest?
The parents got to step up to the plate and be responsible.
That's
This is
very
not
true,
just
but
only a kid's issue. This is a parent's issue.
Yeah,
Parents nowadays want to be the kid's best friend rather than be a parent to lead, guide, and direct him.
And they tempt you, I mean, they give you the you-know-what finger and all kinds of stuff that we run into, but you have to, and our sheriff would be, say exactly the same thing. We got to get them caught in the act, whether that's a video or what, I don't know, but it's not an easy question, that's for darn sure.
Well, there's a lot of good, laws on the books. Jumping ditches falls underneath careless, reckless, or negligent.
We-
Also, what I read in the Home Rule Charter in Section 3, all those things, those expedition driving, they're all in the Century Code already. Careless, reckless, or negligent.
But there you go, right there, it leads on to how do we take care of this problem? Enforcement, that's the only thing.
I don't know. That's a good question, but I just want to make it known that the county has the same authority as the city does now. And I wouldn't want to see a total ban in Burleigh County because it's not fair to the farmers in these rural areas. There's nothing going on up there. What's happening is in the ETA areas, a 5-mile radius around the Bismarck area.
Okay,
And I would
Commissioner
like to
Munson.
see some kind of ban within that area.
Commissioner Munson?
Well, I can tell you that I've received not 100 calls, but I know I've received 20, 30 at least in the last year. And my encouragement to all the residents is to keep calling the sheriff's department. Eventually, we will catch these kids. But if they don't call, if the residents do not call, we don't have a chance. And so I encourage all of you to keep calling in to give us that opportunity to catch these kids. And I would bet, I know one of the laws is you have to be 16. I would bet one of the laws most of them are breaking are under 16.
Yeah, it's that certificate they're getting from North Dakota Parks and Recs Division.
Yep.
12 to 15-year-old kids able to drive up and down our roads at 55 miles an hour. Who thought that was a good idea?
But please keep calling.
But once again, Commissioner Munson, we've been told by the sheriff they got to catch him in the act of doing this right here. Time to get out there to service those calls is 10, 15 minutes. Those kids are long gone.
yeah.
They're smart. They're on their cell phones. They're talking.
2 minutes, they're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I think somebody else wants to speak on the same
Okay.
subject.
okay, very good, and thank you, commissioners, for your time and your patience. Appreciate you.
Thank you, I appreciate the input, Doug. Your name for the record, please.
You bet. Brian Fettig.
What, did you say Fettig or Heddig?
Yeah, Fettig.
Fettig, that's what I thought.
So, yeah. Good evening, Chair Bittner, Commissioners. It wasn't my talking point, but after Brenda's presentation, I thought I'd add I was 2010 graduate of the Leadership Bismarck Mandan program, and it is a very good program. So, I'm not going to try and repeat anything Doug said. I just wanted to present maybe some different angles to think about. First off, I was part of the group back in 2021 that worked with the commission to get the Home Rule Charter ballot on, or get the Home Rule Charter on the ballot to address this issue. I served on the Home Rule Charter committee at that time. And your first question might be for me is how have things been at our place since the last time I spoke to this commission? Let me say it's been downright miserable. You almost can't take it. It has turned into an all year long problem. If you look at the Google Earth pictures of 2021 and then you go on tonight and look at our property, you won't even recognize our ditch. It's no longer a ditch, it's a rutted up OHV trail. The noise back and forth when you're laying in your bed at night will drive you crazy. I brought my wife and daughter with me tonight, and they can vouch for this, but you can't tune them out. You know how bad it is when you can recognize what type of OHV is headed in your direction based on their distinct sound. I can tell if it's a side-by-side, I can tell if it's a four-wheeler, I can tell if it's a motorcycle. I have them memorized. Rainstorms are the worst. We had 3.5 inches in October, and it was really cold, and everything was flooding, and the sun is going down, and it's still sprinkling, and we're laying in bed, and you can just hear, it's a four-wheeler, it's coming, it's about a half mile south, it's racing up 52nd Street, it turns around, comes back this way. And the revving of the engine is just to purposely fishtail. When it rains 3.5 inches, these kids love to fishtail. When you leave the property in the morning, we literally drove over a 5-gallon bucket's worth of mud on our approach. It makes you sick. The destruction is very real. What's eye-opening about these 100-plus calls that have come in and calls that the commissioners have received, none of the calls were for me. I quit calling. What happens is we had given up on calling much like everyone else in the county. My neighbor who is here tonight remembers calling over 19 years ago. And let me explain exactly how this goes. For those who call law enforcement, the response is always the same. They'll show up, they'll hand you a pamphlet outlining what the OHV riders are allowed to do. Furthermore, they'll tell you they must see them in the act to do anything about it. It is a waste of time and taxpayer dollars. Nothing happens. I mean, think about 19 years of phone calls and responding to these calls and all the efforts being done with home rule charter and ballot and ordinance. And now think about our county reps having to go to the state level to get support for the citizens. That is why they got involved, because nothing is happening and they sympathize with us. I wasn't part of the legislature. I did not know Doug. I did not know, I think Jerry's going to speak too on some of her testimony. I gave up. I tried the 2021 deal, and there's a whole set of group. There's new people that moved to the county. This is only going to get worse, and I don't understand the reason to keep kicking the can. I would encourage all of you to go back and watch that 8/21 of 23 meeting. So that August meeting of 2023, there was a public hearing, and everyone spoke. And at one point, the commission had stated the simplest and cheapest solution would be to prohibit them. At that time, our planning director, Mitch Flanagan, specifically said you cannot prohibit them because of Century Code. That isn't the case today. Century Code is changed with the past legislative session because you guys couldn't do anything in 23. The county now has the full authority to ban them. That is the only solution, and there's no downside to doing so. Let me explain. What you would be doing is taking away playtime for give or take 20 kids and giving back quality of life to an estimated 13,000 ETA residents. The ETA is essentially the size of a small city, and it's growing. There's 190 residents per square mile in the ETA. There's only 26 outside of the ETA area. Imagine tonight if we had 12-year-olds running on four-wheelers and side-by-sides and dirt bikes outside this county building. Somehow that is being allowed right now in the ETA area around Bismarck. It doesn't make sense. This small group of kids seem to be the most protected class in society. Now, I would like to address the elephant in the room. What about the OHV dealerships and their business? They won't lose a dollar. I just purchased a brand new Polaris Ranger side-by-side from Action Motorsports in Mandan. Everybody I know has an OHV. We use them for ice fishing, we use them for hunting, we use them for farming, we use them for ranching, we use them for utilities, plowing snow, work, you name it. We use them for everything but ditch running. Put it this way, those writing checks to the dealerships aren't the ones running the ditches. It's simple, the solution, the language tonight. This is what it would look like. I would direct your attention to the city ordinance. They already identify many of the exemptions in their language. For instance, four-wheelers are allowed during emergency conditions or for the performance or construction or maintenance in the public right-of-way. Utilities are exempt from any ban, period. Farmers and ranchers, those who spray the ditches with OHVs, they're exempt. The language is straightforward. In addition, Bismarck specifically allows side-by-sides in the city streets if they're 50 inches wide and street legal and operated by a licensed driver 16 years or older, and they have to be insured. That makes perfect sense. You can just look at the city ordinance, copy and paste it, protect the farmers, protect the utilities. That's not the goal. There isn't any utility, there's no farmer that's getting a call or a complaint. There's no one using their four-wheeler who's spraying the lawn that is getting a complaint. That's not the case. I mean, quite frankly, I've had 5 years to think about that. It's just an excuse. You can cover that with language. Just one last thing to think about. Many of these rutted-up trails are on property that is privately owned. The county does not own that property, but yet allows OHV use in the ditch, even though the easement was specifically for a public road. There is a strong legal argument that the county is responsible for this damage on private property, and in some cases, I would argue, the easements could be considered void. My fear, personally, I think if this doesn't get addressed and soon, there is the potential for legal people banding together and making a legal case for this, because Everyone has rights. These 20 kids have more rights than any of the private property owners tonight. And there's something wrong with this whole situation. I would encourage all residents to read the language in your easement and consider these issues when asked to sign a new easement. For instance, 20% of our property is useless since our horses won't get anywhere near this illegal OHV trail. My daughter has her horses, she rides them. First thing, stay way away. The horses spook, they run. The 20 bad actors in the ditch, they're protected. We have no protections. With spring right around the corner, please act quickly on this. With the warm weather, they're out running hard already. You can drive by our place tonight and you will see brand new tracks where a four-wheeler plowed over our driveway deflectors just last night. Again, they just won't quit 365 days a year. It will drive you crazy. There is a solution, and I'm willing, and everyone else in the room here tonight has been more than willing to do it. I don't know what else the citizens of Burleigh County can do.
Great presentation, Brian. Commissioners, any questions for Brian Fettig?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcox.
could we request our state's attorney to look into this and see if we can enact the same ordinance that the city does? Because I think we had the word years ago, and probably it's changed, but that we could not do that.
Correct.
And that was
Right.
That was our
That was
hang
then.
up back
Well,
then.
you're right, Commissioner, but
Can we
that's
get
what
a
they're.
Can we get a recent opinion as to whether we could do
Sure,
that?
yeah, we sure can, but I think it's pretty clear. I'm certainly aware of the change in the law that, because that was the big hangup, that the cities could
Right.
act on it and the counties couldn't, but state's attorney lawyer?
Yes, you can now enact an ordinance that restricts the use of them. In the past, the statute just said, or that we could regulate the use of them. But now that they've added city and county, we can restrict the use of them now. Like
By
we couldn't
restricting,
before.
Commissioner-
can you ban them?
Correct.
Yes.
That can be one of the restrictions.
I think, with respect to the information that Brian just provided, the language in the city ordinance is workable. It is, it certainly addresses my concerns, because like him, and like just about everybody in the ETA, I actually own 3 of those machines. I own one UTV and 2 ATVs, but we use them. We literally work with them. We, spray weeds, like he said. We mow, we plow, we, do all kinds of stuff with those things. And I think that would be my concern, but I think that city ordinance that he's described, and I am aware of that, pretty well covers that for the citizens.
This is
And
my
I think
second.
that
Oh, go
we've
ahead.
tried and we've tried and we've tried for years now. And really, commissioners, this is we got a small group of kids that just laughs at law enforcement, and I know Kelly's back there thinking, what more can I do? And they're right, the sheriff's department is correct, they need to see it. They can't take my word for it. Well, maybe they could, but I don't think they will. But, that is due to the law and the prosecution, and I think that's valid. However, I'm at the point where I've heard about enough of this over the years. Well, I'm not about heard enough. I've had it with that. My kids grew up out in the country. They grew up with snowmobiles and ATVs, and they never left my property. I bought the toys and let them play, but they never left home with them either. And I think that too often now what I hear is it's just an unsupervised entertainment thing. And then the parents don't know that the kids are out there destroying the neighborhoods and doing whatever, because they dang sure don't do it in their own neighborhood. Because their parents would get a call from the neighbor going, hey, and really I've heard enough. I would just want to ask, hang on, commissioners, the folks in the audience, you've heard what was said. Does anybody else want to add anything to that?
Other than I want to stand up and clap. I've lived in my place for 30 years.
Yeah.
And it has gotten horrible.
Yeah,
the last 20
we're well, yeah. I appreciate that. Come on up here. Give your name for the record, please.
Good evening. I'm Jerry Hupfoff. I did testify at the legislative hearings as well this year, or last year. I'm the one who was privileged enough to have a racetrack that was put in right across the street from my home. Everybody's got 2 to 3 acre lots out in Grand Prairie, and unfortunately, there's a private landowner who has never built on his property, but he gave somebody permission to put a racetrack in, and they have jumps, and they have, it gets crazy. I don't even know if it's kids from the neighborhood anymore at this point that are using it, but I will say that I've almost been run over walking my granddaughter with a baby stroller. I've seen, the sheriff's department has been out there. There have been accidents where kids have been taken away in ambulances. They're completely unsupervised, and it's day and night, especially in the summertime. And I do have to agree, I was kind of surprised. I'm hearing the bikes already, even in this cold weather.
Oh, yeah.
And it's dirt bikes mostly, but there are a lot of the Polaris, like the side-by-sides. We have one too, but it never leaves our yard. It's used to plow snow, and my husband will give my granddaughter rides on our property. He doesn't take it out on the road at all.
That's the same
But
thing we do.
It's odd that I see little, like, I'm not joking, I say 8 years old, driving with their younger siblings in some of these side-by-sides, and they're completely no adults anywhere in sight. And they're not really doing anything wrong, but I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, like, who would let your child drive on the road? Because they don't know, traffic rules and things like that. So you have to be careful. I have had a dirt bike come at me down the middle of the road, and I had to pull over into the ditch because he thought the road was his, and then he gave me the bird, and I actually pulled out of his way so he wouldn't hit me. But
Yeah.
I don't recognize some of the kids, so I don't know that it's neighborhood people anymore. I think it's people that know they can get away with it out there, so they bring their bikes into the Grand Prairie area. But it's not a business area. It's completely residential. Everybody has larger lots. There are no sidewalks, so when people want to walk, run, or take their dogs out, they have to walk on the sides of the road. And it's become dangerous. But yes, I've seen, like I said, and I've called, and I kind of feel the same way everybody else does. I've given up because nothing really ever seems to happen. But having the track right across from my house is more than just a little annoying. I can't even enjoy my yard in the summertime.
I've heard of somebody doing that in a different area, and that got shut down by law enforcement. So I don't think that's something we have to tolerate.
This one's probably, I would say it's a 2-acre lot that they built up. And I know they have been out there a few times. But a lot of the kids take off and leave when they know somebody's coming.
Right. Well,
or they'll see people outside kind of watching them, and then they know something's coming, so they leave.
Sure. Well, we're aware of that.
Yeah.
Commissioner, you wanted to add something?
What I want to add is, what is it going to take to stop somebody getting killed? The parents will wake up, and then they'll forget about it again till the next kid on one of these. I've seen them going up and down the road and jumping the ditches, and they really don't have control a lot of times when they're doing this. We need to do something before somebody gets killed.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Woodcox.
Mitch is right behind I can't quite see him, behind the pillar. I'd like to ask him to come up and review the policy of how do we create it.
Okay, hang on. Any further questions for her or anything else you want to add? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, Mitch.
Sorry, I thought she was done speaking, so my apologies. How do we start an ordinance, and do you work with the sheriff to
No, Commissioner, I think we've already covered that ground. I think the city's ordinance is well-tested and well-tried, and there's nothing new there.
No, it would just take a resolution from this board.
Commissioner Bakken. hang
Oh,
on.
sorry.
So when we went through the exercise of putting this in place for the city, on the city side, and I was mayor at the time, and the biggest concern I have was you've got a vehicle that doesn't weigh a whole lot, on roads with vehicles that do weigh a lot. Who's going to lose in that battle? And that was my biggest concern, so we were working on trying to restrict some of the right-of-ways, some of the speeds. Now, the problem in the county is most of these roadways are higher speed roads. So I'm kind of wondering how we navigate around that, because my biggest concern in the county is, one, it's a nuisance to the residents, and two, when you take a look at these ditches and what they look like, and I'd love to have Casey or Dan speak on this as well. Those ditches are set up for water conveyance. And when you've got a rutted up ditch, are we backing water up into somebody's property, into somebody's pasture?
Well, it's worse than
This
that,
is a
Commissioner.
big issue, because a lot of things that, well, when we were having conversations with the city over the ETA, a lot of that comes out of water conveyance and water issues that the county's had to pay for. So I have a big concern about what the damage it's doing in terms of water conveyance and how those ditches are supposed to function, and the nuisance side of it.
Right.
And the easy solution is, it's like, it's a vehicle, and it's got to have the rights to the rules of the road and travel on the roadway. But when you got a 12 or 15-year-old kid who can't travel
Well,
on the
that's-
roadway,
Right, well, that's where the city ordinance
and-
comes in, because
exactly.
they require a licensed driver.
exactly. So
You know, I don't want to encourage kids on the road.
no,
I don't mean
absolutely
to interrupt
not.
you. But that's where the city ordinance actually does cover that.
Yes, and we went
And-
through that very meticulously, so I think there is an opportunity to take what the city has in place, apply that to what the county can do with the exceptions for the agricultural stuff. I think we can come up with something that'll work. The only other question I've got on that too is, and the ETA was referenced, what that new ETA looks like, really, it's different now. So now we're come back to whose enforcement is, because I'm guessing some of those roadways that people have brought up about why isn't the Bismarck Police Department out here, it's like, do they have jurisdiction out there anymore? No.
Well, that's pretty well laid
Yeah.
out by,
So-
by the annexation. I think people really know where the city limit lines are these days. That's not really that confusing.
The city's ordinance is pretty well crafted.
Right, I would agree with that. The only question that I have moving forward is, does that fall into something we can just adopt, or do we need to go through a process? And this is a state's attorney and Mitch, but do we need to go through public hearings and different things, or we just to say, well, we're gonna adopt the city ordinance?
No, I think I provided you with a cheat sheet of how to adopt an ordinance, and so I'll find that again and send it out. But
Okay.
you would have to adopt that yourself. You can't just say we're adopting the city
Right.
one. You'd have to write your own and.
Right.
Yep, and go through the process. But
Okay, I
it's
guess
a
we might as
pretty
well-
simple process, so.
Might as well just figure on moving ahead with that.
Okay.
So I think the public has obviously made the case. We've been after this for years. This is nothing new. And
Well, way to
it's-
let
it's
Mitch
tough.
off the hook.
Mitch, I'm sure you're going to be wanting to work closely on this one. So anyway, we'll go ahead and look at moving through that part of the process. Commissioner Bakken.
Dan or Casey, whichever one of you, what are we seeing out there as far as damage on the road?
Oh, hey,
the ditches?
I can weigh in on that.
Well,
'cause
I
you guys
know,
may not
I've been
know
by
it,
your place,
but I actually build recreational trails, a lot of recreational trails in the state of North Dakota. A lot. I don't know how many miles and miles and miles from all kinds of rough terrain and bad areas and all that. It is expensive to go and try to do these repairs. And it's especially expensive if you're going to keep tearing it up as you're repairing it. You'll never get ahead of it. We don't get gas tax to put towards repairing that damage. We don't get license fees. There's essentially nothing that I'm aware of that Burleigh County gets that we could fund these kind of repairs. And I mean, I'm talking down, you could be in between $5 to $10 a foot to fix this stuff. And you consider the miles of stuff that we're talking about. I'm telling you, a couple $100,000 doesn't go very far at all.
So,
Dan?
Dan, what are you seeing out there as far as some of the damage and what's that doing to the water conveyance and what's the cost of repairing some of that? Are we keeping track of that as well?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Commissioner Bakken, we are seeing substantial ditch damage. Of course, that does obstruct some of the flows, things like that. Mr. Pearson's pictures kind of put it right in front of your face. You see the ditch damages, and we don't spend a lot of time repairing them because as soon as we've repaired some of these ruts or some of these damaged areas, the vehicles are just back within a week, or they look the exact same.
See, that's my point, Commissioners.
So we did a project up on 71st Avenue, I think it's 2 years ago now. We seeded that whole area within a very short period of time. The straw rolls were ran over and things like that.
Days, within days.
Yeah, short, yes, very short period of time. So, yes, the short answer to your question is yes, we are seeing damages in the ditches pretty much. Wouldn't call it countywide, but definitely within that small area right outside city limits.
Closer to city limits.
Yeah.
We'll reserve a spot on the next agenda if we have anything ready to move forward as far as hearings or anything else, because time is Commissioner Bakken.
One other piece of input I'd like just for this meeting. Thank you, Dan. Sheriff Lieben, could you come up and speak a little bit on some of the enforcement side of this? And because if we're able to adapt the city's current ordinance, I would like some of your input on that, because you can pass all the laws in the world if they're not enforceable or you're not able to, then what good are they? So, from an enforcement perspective, I would love your perspective.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold here. So basically, a lot of information shared tonight, a lot of good information, and ultimately, from the enforcement side, and you're correct, Commissioner Bach, and basically, it all comes down to what can we do with that law. So basically, when we say we have to catch somebody doing it, the only other way we could do any enforcement would be is if there was we take a report, write a citation based on a citizen's observation, but then that still has to go through the court process. The likelihood of that getting through the system, and Julie can weigh in on this, would be very, very tough to do based on the observation. The problem we run into, and, like I said, I can talk for probably hours on this because after 35 years of dealing with this in the county, so 19 years, I'll go back farther than that. So some of the problems we run into, the first problem is identifying, because basically under the U.S. Constitution, we cannot seize somebody just to ID them. So if you have a young person riding an ATV with a helmet on, we have to be able to say under oath that we believe they are unlicensed and driving. So, like in a car, if you see somebody that looks to be 5 years old driving a car, that would give you a reason to stop that car. But now you put somebody on an ATV with a helmet and it's a shield, we can't identify them. So then we have to catch them violating the law. Some of the other things that were brought up tonight, like jump-in approaches. So when you talk about the Century Code, not every road carries equal weight, or not every approach carries equal weight. So jumping a roadway such as 41st or something like that would fall under the law in that definition. Jumping an approach that goes into a farmer's field doesn't have that same protection or same classification. So I think, and I'll answer any questions that you have. Ultimately, I think an ordinance that bans any usage except for certain limited uses obviously would give us the enforcement authority, but ultimately that's something you're going to have to weigh in on a public hearing as others come to testify on this.
And we will. We will.
Yes.
We'll have it open to the public, and I would encourage you folks that are here to certainly watch for that. You're welcome.
And I would like to make sure that we put the restrictive so that like the private approaches are covered, that
Yeah.
they're not covered under the,
Okay.
the.
Well, we'll have the opportunity
state.
to add language as needed,
Yeah.
and that's all part of the process.
One other.
Mr. Chairman,
Sheriff.
Commissioners, and maybe to answer that for you, Commissioner Bakken, ultimately, I think if you look at the city ordinance, what the city ordinance says is basically they cannot be driven. Now, there was a reference to street legal and licensed, but those are classified as a vehicle and they're operated on the roadway. So if you remember our former head of maintenance for Burleigh County, he would drive his to work every day. It was street legal, it was licensed, completely different than what we're seeing out in the county right now.
Right. And that's what mine are. Mine are
Yes.
licensed and street legal and whatnot, and we use them for work, and we use them for spraying and all that sort of stuff. But I think that's all covered with the ordinance,
Right.
as I understand it from the city.
Well, and that
I
was-
think it's workable.
You kind of answered my question because I was going to ask how familiar you are with, I'm assuming, very with the way the city crafted that. So if there was anything that was left out, please work with state's attorney, lawyer and Mitch to make sure that it's added in there.
Correct.
And I think another thing to point out, and just reiterate the point that you heard from citizens, and you'll hear it again from me, we own these kind of machines. This is clearly, we're talking about something that is not under the normal ownership of these machines. I know my kids never did anything like that. Most people's kids never would if their parents could see them. It's gotten so bad out in the county that I just think that those excuses aren't going to work anymore. All right, Commissioner Schwab.
Would this ordinance cover the county, the whole county, or would there be exemption for what's ever in the twilight zone? Is it going to cover that too?
I guess we'll have to look at that moving forward, but I think the safe bet is it'll apply countywide because it still allows landowners, farmers, ranchers, businessmen like myself to do what we're doing with those machines. Because we're not the ones out there tearing up the ditches and jumping approaches and stuff. Not that I wouldn't love to play like a kid, but I'd probably end up in the hospital. But that's, but that, the exemptions that exist, even under the city ordinances, for bona fide use, no problem. Because we all, you heard, there's so many of us out there that own these machines. And that's part of why we've talked about enlarging, the building size in the codes, because people have more toys and more things. More boats, more UTVs, ATVs, trucks, tractor, you name it. So, anything else you want to add? No. So we're gonna continue this discussion, and I appreciate everybody that was here bringing this forward. Thank you all. I'm going to move on. County Planning Director Flanagan, amend Article 21 floodplain regulations. Welcome back, Mitch.
Commissioners, Mr. Chair, this is a very small ordinance change, but it became necessary to amend and reenact that Article 21 to include that minor section at the beginning as directed by the Department of Water Resources. They want all floodplain regulations to be homogeneous, so they want our ordinance to be similar to what the state has. So that's all that is, that preamble at the very beginning. It went through 2 public hearings, and it was recommended for approval 8-0 at the Planning Commission meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve Article 21, the amendments. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you,
you.
Mitch. Next is County Auditor Splanskowski on a joint powers agreement. Welcome.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. So since the agenda went out, I was actually reached out to by the McLean County Auditor, and she said that the schools that she was signing these for didn't realize that they were signing, and they decided that they didn't want to do it. However, I left it on the agenda just so that I could kind of tell you what this is, how it works, and a few small legislative changes that have happened regarding elections. So in the last legislative session, the laws were changed as far as bonding issues go. Any school bonding issues need to be on the local ballot that everybody sees. They can no longer have their own elections. The schools can no longer run their own elections for bond issues. However, they can still run their own elections for their school boards. And so this is what this is kind of covering. Any schools that want to have a JPA with the county to run their school board elections. We currently have one with the Bismarck school system. We've had it for many years. It works great. However, it is still an optional thing. This one was for the schools around McLean County, and some of those school districts do cross into Burleigh County. However, this one is no longer. The schools didn't realize what they were doing. Then they realized it, and they chose not to go forward with that. So that's all that one is. No action required by the commission. Just want to give you that update.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was easy. Good thing I had that easy button over here. Commissioner Munson, Community Gardens Agreement.
Fellow commissioners, as we're already past that date of people wanting to secure their gardens for the upcoming summer, in front of you is an agreement that I have worked out with the Burleigh County, with the Bismarck Park District for the year of 26 to continue to operate the gardens as they did last year. What this does is it gives me time to work with 4-H. My goal is 4-H to take it over, but we're already a little bit behind since this all happened at the end of the year. So this agreement again is to move forward with the Bismarck Park District for the year of 26, which again it gives me time to work with 4-H to try to do this for 27 and on.
Sure.
I didn't quite, I was kind of reading here.
Yep.
You're proposing to make an agreement between Bismarck Parks and Rec?
Between Burleigh County and Bismarck Parks and Rec, yep, for the 26 season of just the gardens, to let them handle it. There's 140 gardens out there. Last year, they had 80% of them rented. And so to allow us more time to be prepared to run this correctly, I would wish that Bismarck Parks runs it this year, and then that gives us time to make sure we're ready for next year.
Okay, so where it talks about fees, because I haven't had a chance to read this, but where it talks about fees, the only thing that Burleigh County gets out of doing this, being the landowner, is you get 5% of the fees?
5% of the fees, basically just to cover our water expense. The gardens are tilled, everything's ready, they're already plotted out. The Park District will come in and till it at the beginning of the year, and we have hands off for the 26 season.
Okay, Commissioner Bach.
Commissioner Munson, does 5% cover the water bill?
Nobody could split out the whole Missouri Valley complex as far as water usage, so it's a guesstimate.
Okay, and then my other question is, given potential development out there, are those gardens in any locations that would interfere with any potential projects?
They're under the WAPA lines.
Okay.
So it for future 27, 28, 29, I think that'll still fit within the Missouri Valley Complex's thought process.
Okay.
Commissioner Schwab.
I see what, actually my favorite option is the third. But I can tell you, Commissioner Munson, there is no way Extension is going to be able to handle these gardens.
Well, not Extension, the 4-H, the volunteer 4-H group.
The volunteers,
Yes.
okay.
That's my goal to approach them in the
Because
next month.
They're short of help already, plus they don't have the room. You'd have to hire somebody to go out there. Okay.
That's why I'm thinking 4-H, not extension. Because it could be a fundraiser for them. But again, 27 and beyond.
Yeah.
Who are these volunteers?
Whoever makes up the 4-H groups. Marie Horning is part of the 4-H group, right? And so that group of 4-H kids, this would be a great project for the kids.
Well, Marie Horning's my niece.
I know.
Have you talked to her?
No, yeah.
So don't be, are you saying don't be quick to volunteer?
I'm not volunteering her.
Watch out. You're gonna lose. I think we need something more detailed on this.
Well, this is only,
This
This
the
is just,
You know, I'd
this
like
is
to
the
know what
1 year
these
stop
lots
gap.
run for.
Yeah.
I would move to approve the agreement as
Second.
presented.
Motion is second to approve the agreement. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
No,
Chairman Bittner.
No, I'll just join with you for that. Motion carries. I probably should have read that one and had some discussion ahead of time. Item number 12, Commissioner Schwab, you have continued discussion of garrison diversion, then you have NDSU extension ANR person. You can take whichever one you want first.
first off, is anybody for garrison diversion in the audience?
They didn't promise to be here.
Well, doubt it, but I can ask. I did AI research on, and I'm continuing to do it, and I want to explain to the people that are listening, watching, this isn't just a North Dakota project. It's going to water Minnesota, from Fargo up to the Canadian line, and they do not belong to the district, but they get the benefits. And of course, if you go through this thing, nobody really has committed. Well, my wife's from Minnesota, smart Norwegian. Let North Dakota pay for all of this, and then we'll hook up. Moorhead is a city of 46,000. And then we'll just use it when there's drought. Don't believe it. There is a Red River Valley Authority, the Lake Agassiz Authority that garrison diversion supports. It is just layer and stacked with different organizations. And basically, garrison diversion doesn't do anything when you cut to the chase. So I also want to, I believe, Mark, they pulled that tape. You can't find that tape, I was told, that video.
They may have. I've seen it, but maybe they've taken down. I don't know.
Don't ask.
We have the,
Let it die.
on our website, we have a link to the 2026 January 9th meeting. And a lot of people don't understand what we're talking about, but I would recommend that they go to that link and watch it, and there's a disclaimer that goes with it. When you hear it, you're probably going to have hearing problems afterwards. And if you watch it, you're probably going to develop cataracts. It's that bad. So really, you need to get caught up on this thing. It appears that our money is subsidizing western Minnesota. That's pretty much the gist of all of this. And in the agenda, you can look it up and read it.
Yeah, that
Okay.
is part of the agenda packet. So anybody who wishes to read that material, you're welcome to go online and look at that on the Burleigh County website. NDSU.
NDSU, I think you have my one deal there. No, I got it. Has a position that just opened today, and they want to fill it right away. And the reason for that is they have to have our permission. We pay half the wages. and NDSU pays half the wages, so we got to okay it. So the gal that would have been here had to go to Fargo and ask me to do this. What they want, we need a motion, this is in her, to move forward with filling the position ANR Extension Agent.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve moving forward with filling the position. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Any other, anything else for the good of Burleigh County? Commissioner Woodcock.
Just an update on our project with the mural on the south side. We've run into some financial problems trying to get this thing done and done properly, so I'm still looking for input, whether we want to discuss it now or not. We're up to about, probably the thing's going to be $200 to $250,000 to do the whole thing. Whether that's a sticking point, we say no. I think the sooner we do that, the better. I just think it's a great project. It just got to be a lot of money, and we've had some estimates from the general contractor. We've a couple others that have come in, and they're all in the same relative ballpark. But we have raised $80,000, but that's not going to cover this. So I don't know where we would get the additional 130 or 100, whatever it might be.
I think it's a really tough sell for the citizens for us to commit any much more than we've already talked about for that. Go ahead, Commissioner Bakken.
Especially something that, depending on what the city winds up doing with their adjacent parking lot, whether there's a build project there or not, that's something that might wind up being just very short-lived as well. If it was a long-term project that was going to be around for a decade or two, I would have a little bit better appetite for it. I know there's some other options, and Commissioner Woodcock's, I shared those with you because the city and the county the state are looking with an organization that's going to help kind of manage what that looks like. So I would like to explore some of those options
I
as well.
think that would be a great thing to do. I think we could do more working together with the city and the state. And I think it'd have a lot better reception by the public. Commissioner Woodcock?
We have not spent any money. The county dedicated $5,000 from last year's community development fund and $5,000 from this year's. And we also had a $35,000 match that the county committed to match this other $35,000. We have not spent anything. Might be a little bit of bills from the Heritage Foundation, but I don't think it'd be significant. But if we drop out now, we have very little investment, and it was a good try, but I just don't think it's feasible.
Well, I'd like to see us work out something with the city and the state, and if that requires some funding, then we can sure talk about it. But that amount of money that you had talked about is just exorbitant.
I would rather make this a motion, because we've already committed money to it, so I would like to have a commitment from the county. Also, I'm not a representative to the city, so I kind of hook this thing in because I like the project and wanted to run with it, but as far as working with the city, we don't have a city representative, so.
I think it was, I think it was a good project in theory. It's just the cost kind of got out of hand with the constraints of going on that building and what that might look like down the road. But I would make a motion to drop the mural discussion and look at exploring other options and working with the city and the state for celebration.
And I'd like to put in there that we asked for a return of the money that I think we sent them a check for $5,000 from last year, which he's still holding and hasn't done anything with, so I'd like to get that back.
I'll add that to my motion.
Yeah, and if we have a motion and a second, further discussion, I'd like to just add, if they have incurred costs, then they would be able to retain that amount.
Yeah.
Right. Because I have no doubt that they're accurate in their accounting and whatnot. I've worked with those guys for a long time, and I'm on the Heritage, Northern Plains Heritage Foundation Board, so I don't see any problem with that. Any further discussion? Commissioner Schwab?
I have two things.
On
No,
this,
no.
we're in a motion in a sec.
Oh,
Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, call the roll.
sorry about that.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries. Go ahead, Commissioner Schwab.
I have two short things here for Mark. Mark? Are you here?
I'm here.
When does the time run out on that vote for garrison diversion?
So they have 60 days from the time that they received the letter, and they received the letter on December 8th of 2025, so they would have until February 8th.
Till when?
Till February 8th.
To do what?
Make their decision.
I'm sorry?
To make their decision, they gotta
Oh,
vote.
okay.
The other thing is, I think we need to remind people that they can get a $1,600 tax break if they threw all that stuff away. And when does that end?
The
End of
end of
March.
March. Yep, that's when the end. That's
Yeah,
when
we
that
want to
ends.
encourage any and all, I'll repeat that just to make sure everybody hears it. We want to encourage all people with North Dakota primary residence, including everybody in Burleigh County, to apply for the North Dakota primary residence credit, which is $1,600 a year. Okay.
Do we have that on our website?
I believe it we do, but I'll make
Yeah.
sure that it's
Yeah.
out there.
Commissioner Bakken?
One other piece of discussion, I know Missouri Valley Complex, the Ag and Equestrian Center has been moving forward with, as we've directed them. From an informational perspective, they're getting up to the point where they're going to need some information from staff, not necessarily staff time, but they're going to need some assistance from staff gathering some information and moving forward. What kind of put them in a little bit of a kerfuffle is our discussions with the ETA, because previously they had been working through the process for the city because it was under the city's jurisdiction, and now that's changes.
No, it doesn't, Commissioner, it doesn't change one little bit.
Well, it to
The
a certain
Missouri
degree-
Valley Complex Committee is within Bismarck city limits. It's not an ETA site.
Well, but the way it's going to be with planning and zoning moving forward, that's coming back to us because they're not going to have anything to do with that
That's-
property.
I don't think that's part of our
Yeah,
agreement.
just like the state capitol.
Is that
We've-
part of the
We've had
agreement?
Yeah.
one meeting on it already, and
So
I should be getting some more information
Okay.
this week on next steps with that. So,
okay, so
yes.
but they're going to need a little help from some staff. So if you want to put that on the agenda after your
Yep.
follow-up meeting,
Okay.
I will.
Talk about county staff or city staff?
County.
county as far there's some information and stuff that they're going to wind up having to go to staff to get,
Yep.
so that they can keep moving forward, because we kind of changed their timeline on them a little bit because everything's on hold, as that's no longer going to be under the purvey of city planning and zoning because it's our property, just like the state capitol.
Well, that's-
City's not gonna have anything to
I'd
do
have
with that.
I'd have to review the agreement, because last I heard, they were just gonna have conversations about that, so I'm not sure how.
Yeah, that's
Like I said, we've already had our first meeting on it.
yeah.
Mitch and I attended that meeting, so.
Okay. So if you can get that on the
Come on up,
agenda
Dan.
moving forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I just wanted to give you an update on what we have heard from the Highway Department, sitting through the development review meetings that we have with the city once a month. Currently, they're working on a document to essentially relinquish some of that back to us. So it's just kind of in process. We haven't seen this document. We haven't seen a revision of the document, nothing.
But that's
like that.
changed their timeline with the
Yeah.
committee, so
Yeah,
thank you.
Just one quick.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks, Dan.
Uh,
Appreciate that.
Dan, any idea of, have you had any conversation with the city on when we're going to be getting that? Or when we're going to be finalizing the?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bakken, real soon. No, I actually,
Good answer, Dan.
we can
That's
follow up with city staff and
Okay.
see where they're at with it. Today, we had a meeting, development review meeting, and they didn't have it, so I just
Okay.
don't have a
I know they're
timeline
working on it, but
I
it's
know
just,
it was within the first couple weeks of
Yeah.
February, we were supposed to have a follow-up meeting.
yeah.
So we're close.
Well, and Mitch is going to have to review
Yep.
that when he
Yep.
gets it, and
That's a definite maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, with that March 1st deadline quickly approaching, I think they wanted to have at least something in our hands by then.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dan. Anybody else have anything for the good of Burleigh County? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, Commissioner.